Hey guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStationAccess, and I've managed to call Eric. I've been so good to see you again. I can't wait to get into the questions because we're going to try and get as much information out of you about Destiny as possible. So let's start. So when I saw this game, I was blown away by what you've done graphically. You know, with next gen, it really looks like you're pushing it as far as you can. Can you just tell us about some of these amazing aspects you've been able to add? Like, did we see like shadows, real-time shadows?
We're doing a lot of fun stuff with lighting, so real-time shadows, we want them to be really precise, really crisp. Even back at E3, we were showing off like footprints in the snow, wind through grass, like when it collides with the player, we want it to bend and move. We really want the world to feel real. And then when we were showing off the patrols, you saw sort of the real-time sun moving through the clouds.
So pretty.
You can do night, we can do like weather effects, snow, aurora borealis, tons of stuff that really make the world sing. And that sort of leads our artists to do a bunch of funny, like goofy things like putting lights behind stairs so you can see it come up through, the different slats and just lots of dramatic angles, lots of player shadows, lots of things that make the world feel really rich.
Let's talk about the tower. Right, this is being mentioned more and more, and it's, from what I understand, the social hub. So what does the tower offer players? What can they do there?
Yep. So it's a third-person space. You can check out your own gear. You can strut around, peacock, show off, check out, show off what you got. Maybe inject a little ego into the world. You can also meet up with friends. So it's a non-combat space. You can go there just to relax, check out a cool view. And then we have in the patrol, we were showing off a little bit of our city factions. So we'll have factions in the tower. They'll have missions to give you. You can get those on the fly through communication spikes in the ground, and those will give you rewards for helping them out. So they'll have different story motivations. They'll have a little bit different take on the world as it is. And it just sort of adds another layer of richness. So there are other things to do inside of the tower, and we'll have a much bigger reveal coming up, maybe around E3 or so. I don't know.
Are you giving some hints that E3 is going to be quite big for you guys?
Yeah, we definitely want to start this year off by showing off the strikes for you guys, get you guys some hands-on, show off that we're, the action game, the fun combat that Bungie's known for is still alive and well. Last year we had a head of Steam to talk about all the sort of innovations, because that's what gets us excited as developers. That's what really makes the team tick. Like, yeah, social spaces and raids and public combat and all this stuff. But this year we wanted to start off and say, it's just a super fun action game, right? We're going to give you a bunch of weapons that are really fun to use, enemies that are fun to fight, that change their tactics based on your tactics, that push you back, that are worthy, so when you defeat them you feel victorious and feel competent, and they feel different every time you attack them. So that was really important for us to demonstrate. And then leading from this moment, we'll head into E3, obviously, and then beyond into our beta and then launch. So it's going to be a really big year, and hopefully players will start to get, a really good sense of what this game is. I think, as lazy as it sounds to say, I think people just have to really get a character, understand what it means to build a character, ramp through some levels, check out some story, check out all the things that we have to offer, and it'll really start to sink in. Great action game. I love my character. I want to keep playing.
Sounds amazing. Okay, so we mentioned Tower Social Space. Tell us a little about the companion app that Bungie will have and what people will be able to do through that.
Yeah, so the companion app is a way for us to sort of extend some of the core social experiences in the game. We haven't really detailed a whole lot of the features in there. We've talked about using it as a way to check out what my friends are doing. That's really important for me at a glance. If I'm going to watch Netflix or play Destiny, I want to make that call before I load one or the other up. Or if I'm playing, sort of watching Netflix and I'm getting bored of it, maybe I can fire it up and sort of see who's online. But we also want players to be able to tell their own stories. So player stats are really important to us, but also the way that they project themselves. What's their ideal image of their guardian? What do they want to portray themselves as? What are their trophies? So we're looking at a lot of ways we can sort of let people even personalize that companion experience, and that's really just the surface layer of what we can offer. So as we sort of start getting into the companion, I think people are going to be pretty surprised by what we're able to pull off on mobile and desktop.
Cool. Now you mentioned stats in the companion app. Stats are pretty important when you're peacocking around.
Yep.
But do we think this will move towards sort of the competitive esports scene? There is obviously competitive multiplayer.
Yeah.
Halo obviously broke into that scene and did it extremely well. Do you guys see Destiny becoming an esport?
It's funny because Halo sort of accidentally broke into that scene, right? Like when the team was building Halo, and we talk about this a lot upstairs, they were trying to build a party game. It was a bunch of guys sitting around the office, punching each other in the shoulder, drinking beers, and just having a great time, right? And that sort of translated to people lugging their TVs around, just having a blast with one another. It's a game you could play with your little brother, and just have fun. Where well, you'll be the juggernaut this round, right? And just let them play and have fun. So the core thing we're trying to do with the competitive multiplayer game, and really the whole game, is just make it super fun. Right? We want to make this game really fun, really compelling, something you want to come back to, a world you want to visit. And if we think if we do that right, then the community's going to take it. They're going to play it for a long term. They'll find a whole bunch of really fun things to do, and then we'll react to that. We'll be able to build features that support that. We have Rooster Teeth here today, and we talked a little bit about their heritage. And it's like, we didn't know they were going to make Machinima. We didn't know the Blood Gulch Chronicles were going to come out, and they was like, well, we don't want to toot our own horns. It's like, no, you should, because when our guys saw that, they were like, let's make features for that. And I think we need to be cognizant that, like with a companion, we'll extend the experience and give people really cool things that are beyond the console, but we really don't know what the community is going to do. And for us, community is all about heritage and seeing like what piece of it do they want to own, and then how can we support that for them.
Let's talk about the Ghost, because I've seen the Ghost finally, and that Ghost voice sounds really familiar.
We always visit such cheerful places.
Yeah, well, it's the guy who played the story fixer in Elf, Peter Dinklage. So he's also in Station Agent and some other sort of fantasy stuff that's been on HBO.
Yeah, it's not a particularly big series, but he's quite a good
has that really
actor.
Catchy theme song.
Yeah. What was it like working with someone like him for something like The Ghost? Is it quite witty?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of character in The Ghost, and he's definitely one of the richer characters in the world. He's constantly with you as your companion, so you can see, even in a patrol, which is a much more free-form mode, where we're just sort of letting the player go out and say, it's on demand. You want to fight aliens, do that. You want to find treasure chests, you can do that. You want to explore, just sit down and enjoy a sunset, you can do that. But just the intros, from Dinklage as the Ghost, make it feel really story-driven, make it feel like it's rooted in a place, or in the strike, the cues he's giving you as you go through really help drive the action forward. And we're really fortunate to be able to work with really talented people. And for a lot of the development, we just hear robo voice or placeholder from our employees, and you're just like, oh man, I don't know if these lines are working. And then you hear him read them, and you're like, okay, they work really well. So we're also looking forward to announcing some of our other casts, because it's a pretty deep bench. It's pretty exciting.
It's all about having that one character you're going to pull through this amazing experience. But let's say okay, I've started one, I'd like to start again.
Yep.
Can I have multiple characters on one account? And if so, does anything carry over? All these things I've unlocked or items that I've managed to loot?
Yeah, so you can absolutely have more than one character. We want to make it so you can play a character, you can get through some levels, you can have a really competent character for competitive multiplayer or story stuff. But if you want to say, I've been playing an Exo Warlock, I'm going to try a human Titan, you can absolutely do that, and we want to make sure that path is really easy for players. We're not talking a lot about how the investment system is shared between those characters. There will be some elements that are shared and some elements that are distinct. But the trick is making sure that people can play one character, have a satisfying arc through, feel like they've got it to a good level, but then jump into another one, and maybe even back and forth. So you might decide, well, for a competitive multiplayer, I just really love the Hunter, but in campaign in the story mode, I want to go for a Titan. So that's a perfectly viable option.
So does every piece of gear you find, can that be upgraded? Can you manipulate every single piece of gear you find?
Most of it. So there are definitely some base gear pieces that you'll get early on in the game that don't have a lot of customization associated with them. They're sort of the more common pieces in the world. They're still really fun to use. Like a common hand cannon is a hand cannon. It's really loud. It's really devastating. It's really fun to use. And then as you get deeper in, you'll start to see things that are a little bit more rare. And the rarer and rarer the pieces get, the more and more you can customize them, the more powerful they are. And so you can find, say, an assault rifle that has a really heavy rate of fire when you're shooting from the hip, but when you go down the sights, you'll have like a very specific, almost carbine-like scout action. So for me as a Titan, that'll be a really good weapon, because I like to play from the perimeter, but if somebody gets the drop on me, I can go down to the hip and unload my assault rifle, So we definitely want there to be a lot of personalization and customization in the game, and as you ramp in deeper and deeper with your character, it gets richer and richer as you go.
Now, when we were seeing a bit of a playthrough earlier on, we were looking at some customization, and there were some different colors associated with different pieces of equipment. What do those colors kind of represent? Is it certain things going to be worn by certain classes?
Those are the rarity items as well. So weapons are shared by all classes. Armor is not. So the armor is very different between classes. Obviously, the Warlock is much more cloth-based, whereas the Titan is like head-to-toe armor. So those are very distinct. But yeah, you see like the white is a common, and something like a gold is an exotic. And so that's how you can tell at a glance when something drops or hits your inventory that like, ooh, I'm gonna go check that out. Or when the loot bubble drops and it's purple, you're like, leave everything behind, drop all combat, leave your friends behind, and like, hoof over there and grab it. So it's actually pretty funny to see that happen over and over again. Like, where are you going? And they're going after their private loot stream.
Amazing. Can you carry a limited amount of weapons then, or is it like your inventory is you can only carry 3 or 4? And
we'll have inventory you can swap through on the fly. So in the middle of combat, if you want to pull up a different weapon, you can absolutely do that. We'll have some things that we'll do in multiplayer to make sure you can't game the system, namely ammo. So you need to go and you need to find ammo on the map. And then we'll have some stuff that we're not talking about in the tower that'll allow you to sort of maybe expand your inventory a little bit.
Very nice. Now, I saw some amazing gun names, right? When these guys were showing us, there were some really cool guns. We saw a heavy weapon called Super Good Advice.
Super Good Advice, yep. There's actually quite a story behind that. I'm not sure if I can share it, but
go on.
Actually Dave Dunn might have done it, so if you look up the story behind that, you might find that it has a rich and storied legacy of people hanging outside of a bar. Yeah, there's a lot of quirky names, and they come from a lot of different sources. Some of them are from stories that we experience here at the studio, or we have a quote board, as people say. You know, people get really tired into the night as they're working. They say really dumb things or really funny things. We write them down. We use them as names. Jason Jones has always been a really good source of names. You know, all throughout all the games. If you go back, like you might have played an account called Tasty Primate in the Strikes today, or seen something like a Halo, like a really poetic name like Pillar of Autumn. Like he's able to just come up with these really cool things and phrases that you don't quite know what they mean, but they sound kind of poetic and deep and really evocative.
That's in the game. We'll use that one.
And we have, you can, and I frequently do this, for example, for this playtest, I just dip into a OneNote somewhere from a writer and just pull out all these crazy names they've come up with over the past 10 years, and we just have reams of that stuff.
I love it. Now, I'm going to finish on a PlayStation-based note. We've got a lot of PlayStation fans really, really excited for Destiny and really excited to welcome Bungie onto PlayStation. Do we have any hints or ideas if PlayStation fans can expect anything exclusive to PlayStation?
Well, we've already announced there'll be a timed exclusive on the beta, so PlayStation will get into the beta first. We announced that at a VGX last year. Beyond that, we are keeping it pretty tight under wraps. There'll be a moment where we'll make a big deal out of it, and we'll be able to talk about that in detail. But yeah, we just want to make a great experience, and for us it's really important to talk to PlayStation fans because it's been quite a while, and in fact you might say forever, and I'm not sure if we would count Oni for PS2 as
Oni is one of my favorite
it's
PS2
been
games.
It's been a while though, so yeah, we've definitely got some work to do, some inroads to make with the PlayStation Nation, so we've been reaching out, and hopefully it's been resonating.
I think it has. Everyone's very excited. Eric, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know it's been a very long day for you, and you've had a lot of questions asked, but thank you so much for your time. Yeah. We continue to be super excited for Destiny, and you guys can stay tuned to the channel because we have even more coming up from the world of PlayStation.